Investors to fund your real estate deals, you're not alone. Finding the right partners can make or break your success. In this video, I'll share proven strategies to help you connect with real estate investors who are ready to collaborate and fund your real estate projects. So, what to expect in this video, we're going to talk about tips for finding investors, building relationships, and kind of presenting your opportunities. Let's start off with understanding what investors are looking for. So you got to understand different investors have different goals. Some might be cash flow now. Someone that maybe want equity, someone want to just be debt. And understanding what these terms are, we have a video series that I'll put in our show notes below that kind of walk you through more all these things. But I'll just give two different examples. One person might just want to earn an interest rate and some points up front. So with that, they might lend you 100,000 on the acquisition and maybe some additional money for the rehab when they'll draw later, and they'll maybe earn zero upfront or maybe 1 or 2 points. What that means is just 1 or 2% of what they're lending to you. And then from there, what's the rest of the terms, such as interest rates? I'd be happy with earning 10% interest rates over a 12-month loan period. And then if your goal is to buy, renovate, and resell, you should be able to do that within a year. And then when you sell the property, you give the investor back their principal and any interest owed to them. Now, some investors might want interest along the way monthly. Others like it like less accounting work and just want the one big interest check at the end with their principal. So understanding each investor and what their needs and goals are is important. Another example of investors, some might want equity and they want a joint venture with you where they won't charge you an interest rate payments or anything like that, but they might want a percentage of the deal. Then you got to figure out, is it 50-50? Do they get 25% of it? Again, higher risk for the investor too, because they might earn more based on the profit. However, the deal might go bad and they might actually take a loss. So if you got to understand the different types of, first, what your capital stack wants to look like. Do you want to only offer debt or equity? And then two, the investors you're talking to, what would be ideal for them? And then, so you want to just basically, when you present a deal, you want to have that understanding going front. If you're looking for like a first position mortgage, kind of like a debt instrument, understanding your goals and aligning with their goals when you present the deal makes things go a lot smoother from a communication perspective. Next, we'll talk about where to find these real estate investors to fund your deals. And the local networking events are one option, right? That's a low-hanging fruit. There's plenty of different real estate meetups, workshops, seminars in your area. Just Google them or go to like meetup.com or Facebook pages where there's different organizations like RIAs, which are stand for Real Estate Investment or Investor or Associations. They'll have recurring meetings. They'll usually have like one main meeting, and then sometimes they'll have like smaller county meetings throughout the month that are closer to your area. There's different online platforms out there, different Facebook groups, LinkedIn groups, bigger pockets, so ways to find investors that way. Networking is a good way to grab coffee with someone that you see that posts a lot, looking for deals essentially, and they have the money. And there's also different crowdfunding sites out there like Fundrise, Realty Mogul, Private Money Club, etc. out there. And then the other thing to tap into is like your personal networks and professional networks. So, do you know realtors, attorneys, accountants? They often know investors or investors themselves. Me and Paul have had plenty of private lenders that are realtors, attorneys, accountants that they're just looking for an alternative investment to invest in. And you build a relationship with them, things go well, and then you could tap into their network for others that might be interested as well. So these relationships are really key. Delivering what you promise and providing that trust factor is huge in this. And in addition to your local professional and private networks, there's investment clubs that you could join. That could focus on real estate and other alternative investments out there. So that's another one to take a look at in addition to the RIAs that I talked about. And then obviously, friends and families, your personal referral network. Ask your friends, families, or colleagues if they know anyone interested in potentially that would land in this real estate project that you have. Next, you want to be prepared to kind of, impress the investors. You want to create what's all right, here's my property. How are we going to succeed? What are the risk and rewards essentially? You want to develop a clear pitch and kind of communication on what the specifics are, like costs, projected ROI, timelines, and be transparent about the risks and the mitigation strategies. How did you determine the after repair value? Was it your own comps and some additional information from a local agent, etc. So by understanding the project, that will then you can clearly communicate that to potential investors so they can do their own due diligence and have start building trust in you as well. And the other thing you want to do is, kind of great segue with my last comment is, you got to build relationships and not just deals. You might have a conversation with someone and the time might not be right for them today. However, if they seem some interested, it might be 6, 12, 18 months later. So if you're in a long-term game of real estate, continue to build on relationships, knowing the time is not right for everyone. And for some people, they might have done a few deals with you and then something happens in their personal life, they need funds for something else. Maybe a year later, they'll come back again. So you build those relationships, not just a transactional thing here. Ultimately, investors want to work with people they trust. You want to show integrity, commitment, and basically a mutual success for both of you. And with those potential investors, keep them updated on other projects or potential opportunities. Add them to an email list if you have one, things like that. That way they can kind of see the track record that you're building, success of other deals, and when the time's right for them, they'll make the call. And then, it's good in those emails too, and then networking with people to share insights. Just don't be asking for money, share insights, market knowledge, and other, information, anything relevant to establish that credibility and relationship. And they'll end up with long-term strategies to attract these investors. I kind of showed some short-term ones, but from you personally, you might want to develop your own personal brand. Get quoted in different online articles or blogs, post on social media, create educational videos such as YouTube, and then just position yourself as an expert in real estate investing. And you could also, I've seen other investors host local events to do property tours or workshops to kind of like teach people and show them your expertise. And then obviously, if you have success stories, always document them because building that proven track record and testimonials, it's a good way to add to your credibility as well. So to recap, finding real estate investors, it's all about networking, presenting a solid deal, and building trust. And remember, the right investors are out there. You just got to put yourself in the right places and talk to the right people and demonstrate your value. It's something that will come over time. So if you're ready to take your real estate game to the next level, hit that like button, subscribe, and kind of share your experiences below. And if you have any questions, drop them in the comments below. Happy to answer them or just create a different video